G'day and welcome back to the channel. On this episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups, we're going to be back on the 1275 A+ engine. We're going to prepare it for paint. Once it's been painted, we're then going to start the reassembly process with all the ancillaries to get it ready to go in the car. So let's get to it. Now, before I cop a little bit of slack about how this is presented, the customer told me specifically that he's not overly fussed about the paint that's peeling off. I've gone around already with a wire brush and cleaned it up as best I can, so the flaking paint's not going to be a problem whatsoever. What we need to do though is make sure that we block any of these holes, any of the bolt holes, anything that's open, because we're not going to be painting the bell housing or the transfer case, whatever you'd like to call it, the gearbox whatsoever. We're just going to be painting the block, the head, and the timing case, along with the water pump, thermostat housing, all of that. We just need to make sure that we blank off all these holes with some tape. That way no paint's going to get in there, and we can ensure a clean mating surface between anything like the distributor, for instance, or even the oil feed pipe from here all the way down to the oil filter housing. So let's start taping it up. We're then going to get a bit of wax and grease remover. We're going to remove all the debris that's on here. Then we're going to go ahead and start with a couple of light coats, followed by a heavy coat of primer. Once we've done that, we're then going to move into doing 2 light coats of the new red paint, followed by 1 heavy coat of the red paint. Now, it's also worthwhile noting that this is the engine number right here. I'm not going to zoom in because I don't want people to start questioning it, but what we need to make sure is that we don't cover that with too much paint, so that way it's still easily read. So first thing I'm going to do is grab a little bit of wax and grease remover. This is going to remove any dirt, debris, oil, anything that's left over on the engine block, the cylinder head. We're not going to be painting the tappet cover because he wants to leave it with the retro style and loves this absolute vintage sticker. So we're just going to be leaving that. Once we've finished preparing it, we're then going to mask it all up using a bit of masking tape and probably a bit of newspaper, and then we can start the coat of paint. So here's Tomo's tech tip. When using an aerosol can for the very first time, shake it for 30 to 60 seconds until you start to see small divots in the bottom of the can. That way you can ensure that the paint's mixed correctly. So let's get painting, and we can give it a couple of light coats followed by a heavy one. Now, as you notice, some of the stuff isn't 100% done up. For instance, the rocker cover rag that I have there, a couple of little holes are plugged up, but it'll do the job that we need it to in order to make sure that no paint gets anywhere it doesn't need to be. Now here's Tomo's tech tip of the day. So when you are finished with an aerosol can, invert it upside down, spray it until it comes out clear. That'll ensure that all the paint is out of the nozzle and it's not going to get blocked. Alright, so just finished doing the second light coat, now onto the third medium coat. We're going to let it sit for about 24 hours, then we're going to come back tomorrow and we're going to give it a coat of red paint. So this is what she looks like. We're going to go a little bit heavier this time, make sure she's all wet, then we can continue the painting tomorrow. Alright, so that's it for today. As you can see, the third and final coat is quite thick, it's wet. I should also mention as well, we are using engine enamel primer with ceramic. Ideal for engine blocks and accessories, so this will do pretty much everything we need. But let's let it dry. Once it's dry, we can then come back to it tomorrow. As you can see by that giant fan in the background, I got that for Christmas. Until tomorrow, let's wait for this to dry. We'll reassess it, we'll do another couple of light coats, and then the final coat of bright red. Alright, so welcome back. Day 2 of painting the 1275 A+ engine. So as you can see, it is absolutely amazing in the color of grey. So the primer has gone on really well. It's dried really nice. It's been almost 24 hours since I applied the first coat. As you can see, I'm also in uniform, so I've just finished work on Saturday. So we're going to give it 2 light coats of red and then give it a medium wet coat, as well as doing the engine timing case as well. So let's get to it. Alright, so we've done the first 2 coats. Now it's time for the medium wet coat. So as you can see, it's looking quite good. There is obviously a bit of red colour in it, but a little bit heavier coat this time for the final coat. So that's it, that's a third and final coat. We give it about 3 hours for it to probably dry, but I'll probably give it at least 12 to 18 hours before we touch it again. So next scene you see will be me starting to reassemble the engine. Alright, so we're finally back, day 3, and it is finally dried. Everything is all good. Now there's a little bit of overspray around here, which is not really going to matter too much because it's on the back side of the engine. So with everything that's going to be going on here, you're probably not going to see it. Even if we do, we can opt, before we put it inside the car, that we can give the bell housing a quick coat of silver. But let's strip it and let's see how it looks. So she looks pretty good actually. Turned out really nice. There is a little bit of paint and overspray on some of the head, but that's fine. If it's going to leak, we can always just get a razor blade and just clean it up. That's no drama. We do have some exhaust wrap tape that we're going to be putting on the manifold, so that'll probably be one of the last things that we do. But in the meantime, let's spin it around. Let's start the reassembly process.
I've been driving this train, years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like, rearranged it to my own domain. Yeah, I got what it takes, made lots of mistakes, taking shots, skipping breaks, feeling lost, feeling great, popping off, singing straight, never stopped, never changed. All the squad here to play and I've got something to say, yeah. I work hard each and every day, I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la, 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 la. And I'm up again. I got Tired eyes need a cup of blend, that's right. In the AM, that's my only friend. No light, just the sun coming up on the horizon.
So next thing, we still got to do the tappet cover. There's the oil pipe. We need to do the bracket that holds the distributor. But what we're going to do in the meantime is tighten up all of these. We're going to tighten up the camshaft lock nut. I think there should be a washer behind there as well. So I'll take that off and we'll put a new washer on there. Now, as I said before, these need to be done up to 5 foot-pound. So I've got my little 1/4" torque wrench set. So we're just going to do it in the same pattern that we would doing a set of wheel nuts. Oh. Now I don't have my normal Allen keys at home, so we've got to use the one with the ball. These are really handy when it comes for really tight spot things. They're like nuts that you can't get off just using a normal Allen key, except sometimes, as you can see, they get a little bit jammed. Alright, cool, so now that we've done it, we're just going to go around in a circle and double check. So it is a bit humid here at the moment, that's why I'm wearing thongs and board shorts and a singlet. And the Sydney Kings just played and we absolutely whooped Brisbane, which was really nice. Okay, so that's on. Make sure as well that when you finish with your torque wrench, I think we might have spoken about this before, but loosen it off. If it's electronic, you can obviously just turn it off. If it's the old click or click type, doesn't matter too much because it's going to be different. But when it has a spring-loaded tension inside here, you'll want to make sure that you loosen it afterwards. Otherwise, you're going to stretch the spring and then it's going to come out of calibration. Make sure you don't drop them as well. All right, so that's a little bit tight. So just loosen that off. Okay, so I found it. It's just in our little box of things. So it's got a little tab cut out on the side here. So that's just going to locate inside the tab that's on the camshaft pulley. So you can see here it's at the 12 o'clock position now. So that'll just locate in there. And we're just going to stick that on. I believe the nut will face a particular way. Let's just check the old one and see what did it look like. Alright, so going back to what we've said before, always look for witness marks on things when you're replacing, checking, adjusting, even inspecting. So you can see here this face is nice and shiny, so that means it's been making contact. If we flip it over, it's quite dirty on the outside, which then means that oil and stuff has been touching it, so it's been facing outward. So what we're going to do, because the two surfaces are different on each side, we know which way it goes. So just wind it on by hand. It might be a little bit tricky to tighten up because we're going to have to try and hold the crankshaft as we do it. Oh, that actually just wound in a fair bit, which was nice. Alright, cool. So I've just nipped that up by hand at the moment. Now we grab our trusty book. Okay, scroll to the front. I've actually got a little dog tag in there. We're going to scroll down to... Okay, so it should be camshaft nut, but it doesn't come up, so give me 1 second and we'll quickly Google it. Alright, so that was pretty quick. Came up pretty much straight away. Camshaft nut, 60 to 70 pound-feet. So we'll grab the torque wrench and then we can tighten that up. This is a Tool Pro one. I got this from Super Cheap Auto. A lot of my stuff lately I've just been buying from there because they are a great supplier. Alright, so pound-feet. So we're going to max it to 70. That way we can ensure that it's been done up correctly. Alright, that's 70 pound-feet. Now what you could do here is get a camshaft locking tool and you could put it in here to hold it, but hopefully we can generate enough torque that it will hold itself with the engine. Let's see if we can cheat a little bit. Wedge that in there. Hopefully that'll stop it from turning. If not, we just have to remove the starter motor again and jam the tool in there. Alright, done. Whew. So, she's tight. Now, once again, loosen it off. Okay, so now she's backed off. Now what we need to do is bend these tabs over. Okay, good old faithful, I'm going to try using her. Yeah, sweet. Alright, now that it's bent over, I can grab the chisel, bend it over. It's not going to matter too much that there's a couple little dints there. It is just cosmetic, so it's not going to affect the way that the vehicle drives or anything. Alright, so we're just going to turn the crank over with a ratchet and we'll do the others. So as you can see, I've obviously put the exhaust and inlet manifold on. I had to wrap the exhaust. It did go quite well, a lot better than what I had actually anticipated. That was the first time I'd ever used that wrap material. I just pray that I'm the only person to ever have to take these off again, because if I do, I'm taking the engine out. The reason for that is they are quite tight in between the wrap and the manifold. Alright, so she is all painted, pretty ready to go. We obviously do just need to fit the front crank seal, which will be fitted from the inside here. So let's just make sure everything lines up and she's all good. What's going on here? Alright, so I'll just grab the camera and just show you guys. It's not going on. Seems like something's stopping it. There's a bit of a gap underneath. Alright, so we go to put the cover on. So it sits there nice and flush down the bottom, all the way around the sides. But then once you get to this side here, it starts to move out. And if you come right to the top, you can see it's kicking out a little bit. It's as if something is pushing it back. I don't know if it's the thickness of the chain, which I'd really doubt, because if you look in comparison to the thickness of the cover and the chain, they look about the same. So let's just have a look here. Hang on a minute. Right, okay, so here we go. On the inside of this cover, it must have like a little splash guard to stop oil flinging up through the PCV breather here. So what we probably need to do is machine this down. Given how much it's sticking out, I'd probably say we need to get rid of it altogether. So what I'm going to do is just get the angle grinder, I'm going to cut that bit off, and then we'll refit it and try it and make sure it fits properly. Alright, so she's taken me a couple of goes, but I think I've got it this time. I ended up just keep machining down piece by piece, just to see if it's going to touch. Now, it sits on there fairly flush at the moment. I'll just tighten these up once again, and we can just double check it. You've got to remember as well, I'm not running a gasket at the moment, so it is going to push it out a bee's dick, if anything, to give us a bit of extra clearance. So let's have a listen and see if it's fixed it completely. Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. So we'll just remove the cover and then grab a gasket and then we can reinstall it. Now, I was just driving in the new front crank seal and I actually distorted it just a little bit. So it's out by just enough that it's likely to seal. It may not be likely to seal, but until we fix it up, we're not going to know. So I'm going to have to get another seal, but that's fine. We'll just stick the cover on there at the moment. I just noticed a little bit of paint actually just flaked off where I had to push it out a little bit with a hammer. So I'll give this another coat of paint, that's no drama. And then we can keep going with it, but yeah, we'll just stick that aside for now. Alright, day 4 and we're finally getting this thing back together. So I took the liberty of installing the tappet cover, which was obviously quite easy because it's only 2 nuts. Didn't need to use a couple of spacer washers because of the specialist components nuts that we have on the top here. I also fitted the pipe that leads from the block all the way down to the oil filter housing. So last thing left to do is to fit the timing case.
On the horizon, I lose track of time. Yeah, I move fast and climb a new class divine. Yeah, true passion shines and I'm through passing time. I choose stacking dimes, you snooze half the time while I move passing by. I work hard each and every day. I get lost in the words I say. I don't push pause, no I push play. I won't stop till I make a change. I withdraw on the things I make. I turn flaws into flawless traits. I build tall, never capped in space. I won't stop till I hear him say, oh, oh, la 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 la, la 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 la, oh, 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 la 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 la, la 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 la.
Alright, so that's pretty much it. We've assembled almost everything with the engine. Realistically, the only thing we're missing is the carburetor. So we're going to get a HIF 44, so a 1 3/4 inch SU. Other than that, we do need a new or larger belt, shall I say. This one's a little bit too small, so we might get a 860 mil belt. It'll just depend on what's available. We're going to have plenty of adjustment there in the alternator, so that's fine. We also need the alternator bracket that goes between this bolt here and here as well, so that'll give us a bit of extra clearance to be able to get the adjustment out of there. So we need to order one of those new brackets, but that can be in the next order of stuff. The customer's really happy with how this turned out, and I'm absolutely stoked. You know, you get a bit jealous when you do stuff like this, that when you know an engine you built for someone else is better than your own, it really makes you want to up your own engine ante and, you know, really get some more performance mods out of it and even look at upgrading stuff. So thanks heaps for watching this episode. There's a couple more things left to do, but next time we see it, I'm sure we'll be firing this thing up. So like always guys, you'll see this 1275 A+ engine and the car really soon right here on Tomo's Tune Ups.